Hello, everybody. It is so wonderful to be here live with you today. Renee Massey here. We are going to be talking about this really big, bold energy that's coming in that is all geared up to usher in such huge change that we have not seen in a very, very, very long time. And I was going to actually just record a YouTube video and throw this onto my YouTube channel, which I would love and invite you to subscribe to, because I'm going to be sharing a lot more stuff on that particular platform than I am on this particular platform. But because I had such a strong response from everybody that really wanted this information, really wanted me to share all of this solar eclipse stuff, I said to myself, I gotta go live. I gotta do this live with everyone. So whether you're here live or you're here on the replay, just say hello to me. So I know that you're here and that, you know, you're also in the energy of all of these things that are coming up for all of us right now, because there's so much that's happening. There's so much that's happening. And so in this particular video, just know that what I'm going to go over is I'm going to give some backstory to the different things that have led up to where we are right now, because that is really important. We always need to get some backstory. I don't take anything at face value. Anything that is presented to me, I'm like, what's behind that? And what's behind that? And what's behind that? And I want to go as deep as I can to extract the most truth and the most, like, the good stuff that really propels us forward. It's like one thing to say, okay, it's an eclipse. This is what you can expect, because eclipses are here to change your life direction in a lot of ways. It's going to change your path. It's going to pivot you in some way. But we've got to see how we got to be where we are right now, right? So I'm going to give you some backstory. I'm going to go into all of the things that are Aquarius and solar eclipse. And then I'm also going to share some of the really strong aspects that I see holding with this particular eclipse energy, so that you can frame out how you want to move forward with it, right? Because when we are looking at big astrological transits, right? Like, we've had some really big astrological transits, and we've got more really big astrological transits coming up. And when these bigger things happen, they really do impact the entire collective. This energy is streaming towards this planet, this beautiful, big, gorgeous, living, breathing organism of a planet, Mother Gaia. All of this energy is impacting her, and it's impacting all of us who live on her. So let's look at some of the backstory. Okay, so I have a decent amount of notes to go over, and then I have some stuff on the other page too. And the reason is because there's just so much that is happening. It would take a lot for me to not share it. It would actually be harder for me to just keep it so simple and so, like, you know, easy and short and sweet and all of the things. But on February 17th, so next Tuesday, we are peaking in a solar eclipse in Aquarius. So think Ring of Fire energy. And I also want you to take into consideration that that is the first day that we are also going into Chinese New Year, so Lunar New Year, and that is beginning Fire Horse. The entire rest of the year will be in Fire Horse energy. So it's a big deal, you know, especially with these two alignments happening in conjunction with each other. I know that there's some people that felt like we were, January 1st, 2026, we're coming into this Fire Horse energy. No. You have still been, and maybe you can, you know, get with this, that you've still been purging, you've still been clearing, you've still been shedding layers throughout a good portion of January. And when we started coming into February, maybe you started to notice the tides kind of shifting a little bit. I definitely did. So December and January, so December of last year, 2025, going into January of this year, 2026, December, we had a lot of challenges in December. And so maybe you can get with this. And if you are hearing things that you feel like, oh my God, like I totally went through all of these things. Like if you feel like I am speaking to things that are very familiar to you, please share them in the comments. Please share with me what is resonating and what you have felt come through for you. Because first and foremost, I want you to really own your journey. Okay. I feel like a lot of times we're just like, okay, well, what's happening and what's coming up and what do I need to know? And it's like, but I want you to really like get in the ownership of your journey, that you are the creator of this journey. It is your journey. You are in co-creation of this journey with, you know, other things, other beings as well. So December was a really challenging month because all of the personal planets transited Capricorn. And during Capricorn season too. So it was like, oh my gosh, Capricorn's energy creates this tension and this pressure, because Capricorn it's not a flowing kind of sign. It's a cardinal earth sign. Okay. And so it wants to spring something into action, but it knows that in a lot of ways for it to really enact this action, it's also got to almost like squeeze through something. And so one by one, it was like the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, every single one of these astrological bodies all passed through Capricorn. For a period of time, they also had a really tight conjunction with each other, which means that they were all kind of feeding off of each other's energy and amplifying that energy. And so the other component to that was that we've had Jupiter in Cancer, and Capricorn and Cancer are complete polarities to each other. So as all of these personal planets started to move through, you know, this really interesting and tough sign of Capricorn, it also had this opposition to expansion. And so everything that you went through in December was probably helping you to put a magnifying glass on yourself and face a lot of the inner shadows and the difficulties within your own mind and your own heart and within your own beliefs and within your own identity. And so this felt like a very tight squeeze. But also we had the new moon in Capricorn. So we had like the sun and the moon, the Mercury and Venus and Mars all sitting in Capricorn during that new moon phase. And so a lot of it felt like, yes, you could feel that like new seeds were being planted, because that's what new moon energy is all about. But at the same time, Capricorn is kind of like this energy of like the old wise person. It can be like this paternal energy or this old sage energy. And it was like we were planting these new seeds, but they were also being planted in like this kind of like ancient kind of energy. You might have felt like something new is coming, but I also feel like I'm revisiting something I've already done before. And I see life, you know, I see my own life anyway, happening in like spiraling motions. Like I'm spiraling up or I'm spiraling down. So to me, it was like planting the new seeds, but it almost feels like I've been around this before. Like something is familiar about it. Maybe it didn't work out, or it wasn't ready and it wasn't time yet when I tried this initially. And now all of a sudden it feels like I've gathered all of the information, all of the experience, everything that I needed in order for me to actually be ready to not just, you know, sow the seeds, but actually prepare for a harvest, right? So that is a lot of what happened in December. Then January happened. And I think we all went into January 2026 thinking that it's a new year, new energy, new things are going to happen. All of this other stuff is being cleared, because so many of us really want to get out of 2025. The year of the wood snake was very challenging in so many different ways, because it was helping you to release and purge and just kind of like pull away a lot of the veil of illusion, a lot of the old wounding, a lot of the old belief systems, the old stories, the old narratives. All of these things started to get really dismantled. And so then we go into like 2026 and we're thinking that, you know, fresh start and all of that, but that's not really what I follow. Like we can start a new year, but that's not really what I see. Not until we start getting into like the first new moon of the year, not until we start like moving a little bit further along to see how this new energy is going to take hold. So what happened in January was we started to move all of those personal planets from Capricorn to Aquarius. So Aquarius energy is very, 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 very different than Capricorn energy, where Capricorn energy, like I said, is like this old, wise energy. There can be tension. There can be like, it's just more grounding, right? Like Capricorn wants to build something really great. It really wants to, it wants to have success, and it wants to be very responsible, and it wants to grow something in a beautiful way. But at the same time, it's very cautious how it does that. It does not just spring into action. It's like, I have to have every detail. I have to know everything that I'm doing. I have to really trust myself, and I really have to trust all of the resources, that they'll be there, that they're the right amount, and I'm using them all in the right way, and I'm not going to waste anything, and I'm not going to waste time. And that is very Capricorn energy. But then when we moved into a fixed air energy of Aquarius, that is a completely different, that is such a huge shift of climate, because Aquarius is much more rebellious. Capricorn doesn't necessarily, Capricorn can be very stubborn and dig its heels into the earth energy, but it does not have the kind of revolt and rebellion that Aquarius does. So in January, as we started to kind of move through, all of those planets, those personal planets that were once in Capricorn, all started making their way into Aquarius. And now the energy started to be like awakening, opening your eyes to the new. And Aquarius loves progression, but it likes to progress in a way that uses innovation. And so it's not necessarily creating from nothing. I feel like Aquarius always uses something that's already been done before to create, which I think we already had that groundwork done in December, where I said, like, we're kind of planting these new seeds, but in kind of like this old terrain. And so Aquarius kind of opened our eyes to that in January, where we could see like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to see things come into play again. I'm starting to feel like I have a better idea of where I'm actually going to be landing with all of this. Because I think in December, a lot of it felt like, I'm really not sure what I'm doing with this. Why, like, how is this going to work? How is this going to happen? Why am I here again? Why am I feeling this way? I feel like things should be different by now. And especially, you know, around the holidays and preparing for a new year, I think it was very difficult for some of us to feel grounded. I think it was very difficult for some of us to feel like we had solid footing in where we were going. And so with January, a lot of that started to take shape of like awakening to this new journey that we're preparing for now. Okay, so all of a sudden it's like the tide started to shift again. And plus, not to mention the fact that as all of these personal planets moved through Aquarius, I thought this was very interesting because, you know, Pluto was sitting at 3 degrees of Aquarius throughout that entire time. Now it's at 4 degrees Aquarius, but 3 degrees is such a metamorphosis number. The 3 number is such a number of like birth, death, and rebirth. And so Pluto is also birth, death, and rebirth. It is the planet of metamorphosis. It is the planet of transformation. It is always taking like something and morphing it, and it's alchemy. You know, it's the transmutation of old energy into new energy. And so we also had to watch all of those personal planets one by one pass through, because Pluto moves very, very, very slow. Very, 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 very slow. It takes like 270 years for Pluto to go entirely around the sun. So it's going to be in Aquarius for a very, very long time. And so it was at 3 degrees Aquarius, also indicating this very deep birth, death, rebirth energy. So the metamorphosis energy kicking in high gear throughout a lot of January. And so each of those planets had to transit past Pluto. It's like Pluto was standing at the gates saying, you can't move forward until you pass by me. It's like Monopoly. You can't pass go. Can't collect your $200 unless you pass through. And so that's what Pluto, he's like this guardian standing at the gates and saying like, all right, one by one, come on, you got to work through, you got to walk past me. But every time a planet moves past it, it has to endure the metamorphosis energy that Pluto gives off. Okay, so there's been so much release, so much shedding of layers, so many changing of the story, the narrative, and if you can tell by now, so much has shifted within your own identity. So much from last year has shifted your identity. And then I feel like between December and January, this is where we really started locking things in. Things started to become much more clear, because most of 2025, things were not clear. Things were very chaotic, especially with Neptune and Saturn in the upper degrees of Pisces. So it's like now Neptune has entered Aries at 0 degrees Aries. And so I'm actually going to be doing another video on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that happens on February 26th. And because this is like what's happening right now, also very, very necessary, but a massive paradigm shift throughout the collective. You can feel things shifting in your personal life, who you believed that you were, especially going through all the things that you probably went through last year. You probably lost trust. You probably lost faith. You probably lost parts of yourself. You probably weren't sure if you could trust the ground underneath your feet as you were walking through life. You know, there's a lack of security there. There's a lack of knowing, how is it happening? When is it happening? Where is it happening? Who is it happening to? Like this very deep, like untethered feeling of not knowing and not feeling safe or secure in what your future was holding for you, because there were so many things that were changing so rapidly throughout 2025 and pulling you down into the depths so that you could actually see things that see things that maybe you were afraid to see. And that's what I think a huge part of 2025 has been for us, is that we saw things that we weren't sure we were capable of seeing, doing, being, places we went, like things that happened in our lives that just didn't make sense. And at the same time, actually, I want you to like embrace this so hardcore, like what you have endured, okay? Like what you have persevered, what you are transcending. Like this is the turning point in so many different ways. It is unbelievable. And that's really why I wanted to do this entire reveal live for you guys, because the energy is such, it's a night and day situation. This is a 180-degree situation that is happening right now. And it's going to change how you see yourself, how you see life, how you see the world. And that's not a bad thing, because I feel like where we are right now, I do not care what side of the aisle you believe on. Like this is not anything about politics, but this is about humanity. Okay, this is about people. This is about love. This is about unity consciousness. And what I find so interesting about unity consciousness is that is Aquarius. Okay, so the sign of Aquarius itself is, like I said, it's very rebellious. It's very revolting. And when we even look at like Pluto in Aquarius, okay, so like I said, Pluto being this very like highly transformational outer planet, generational planet, very big collective, global, energetic planet. The last time Pluto entered Aquarius was in 1776. The last time Neptune was at 0 degrees Aries was in 1861. Okay, so we know what happened in 1776, you know, signed the Declaration of Independence. Shortly after that, the Revolution. Shortly after that, the French Revolution. In 1861, that was the beginning of the Civil War in the United States of America. Okay, so as you can tell with the climate of the collective, there is a lot of revolution happening right now. And the only thing that really terrifies me about the level of what's happening right now is that I think that social media can be used in a really positive way. I think it's important to have freedom of speech. I think it's really important to be able to speak your truth and have a voice and express that voice into the world. I also believe that, you know, believing everything that you see, everything that you hear, clicking the rage bait and following other people because they're saying what's happening and you're getting triggered and you're getting all, you know, emotionally amplified by what's being said and what's being seen and all these different things, like pump the brakes for yourself, okay? Be very, 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 very discerning of what you allow into your consciousness, okay? Because the collective consciousness right now feels very, very, very divided. And it's not going to stay that way, okay? I want you to know that it's not going to stay that way, because as we continue to move through the age of Aquarius, which I had said a couple of years ago, once Pluto enters the age of Aquarius, or enters Aquarius, this is the age of Aquarius, okay? Pluto is now at 4 degrees Aquarius, okay? And that is saying, I'm setting a new foundation for you. I'm setting a platform, something to build on, okay? And so I do feel like there's going to be more of this contention. I do feel like there's going to be more of these, unfortunately, like these areas of division. But understand that there are certain people who are participating in this, and there are other things that are also being revealed that are highlighting the truth, okay? And I find it very interesting the way that they've decided to distract us from other things that are honestly like so much more important and not being voiced, not being shared. It's like black market information about terrible things that have happened, trafficking and things that have been concealed, things that have been hidden. All of this, everything is coming out. Everything's coming out. Everything is being revealed. Nothing will be hidden. Pluto will not allow things to stay hidden. And with this solar eclipse in Aquarius and the initiation of fire horse energy, things are going to be very clear. We are going to have a much more clear lens to be able to view the world and to be able to view each other. But I think the problem is that people are taking what's happening in other sectors and they're making it a very personal thing between each other. And this has got to stop, okay? Because we are all humans. We're all humans, and we're divine humans. We have a beautiful balance of being human and also being limitless. So it's like, of course, with humanity, there's ego, there's fear, there's trust issues, there's doubt and uncertainty, and then wanting to protect your own and keep your stuff safe and wanting to protect your values and all of that stuff. And everybody wants that. Everybody wants that for themselves. Is it possible that you can want something for yourself and not tear somebody down in the process? That is just like, haha. It is such a great thing to consider and contemplate, right? Like, can I hold my values to a high level, to a high standard? Can I conduct myself in a really responsible, caring, and unified way within myself, and also extend that out into the world without taking everything personally, without being overly offended, without clicking the rage bait, without allowing myself to go down this very dark path of fear mongering? Because that is what so many of them want for you. There are people, many, many, many people that want you to be afraid, and they want you to live in fear, and they want you to keep clicking the rage bait, and they want you to actually be against your neighbor, be against your fellow sisters and brothers, and be against other humans. And I'm not saying that there aren't people in this world that you should, there's people that you should avoid. There are people that you should keep your distance from. There are people that you should be very discerning of and not trust. But that also doesn't mean that you have to put yourself in situations that are unhealthy for you, okay? So this entire eclipse is going to be such a game changer. Like, game changer is not even a good enough word. Like, I can't even think of a good enough word. Like, this is a paradigm shift, okay? So Aquarius does not do rules. Aquarius rebels, revolts. It wants to be able to think for itself. Okay, so it is a fixed air sign. Air signs are all about intellect, intellectual conversation, being able to reason and come up with practical ideas. But also the biggest thing with Aquarius is thinking outside the box. It's like, I always say that Aquarius is like, and for those of you who are not old enough for this, just Google it, but Aquarians are the MacGyvers of the zodiac. My husband's an Aquarius, and he is such a MacGyver. He's like, give me just these like little pieces, and then he like figures out to innovate on them, and then like he can fix something. It's kind of crazy how he does it. But Aquarians are really good at fixing things using a variety of hodgepodge pieces, and nothing necessarily has to look like it fits, and somehow they make it fit. So know that the way that the current climate and the ecosystem of energetics is right now, and all of that chaotic energy, there is going to be something that comes in and kind of smooths it over a bit. Okay, so I'm not saying we're going to be like, we're in the white water rapids, you know, in our little boat here, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're in this beautiful, tranquil, little babbling stream. No, I'm saying that Aquarius is going to clear it and activate things in a different way that's going to support a much more smooth transition. However, there is going to be such a heightened, fiery momentum that is working alongside of it, because not only are we going into fire horse season, but we have Saturn and Neptune that are going to both be sitting at 0 degrees of Aries. This is the cardinal reset. Okay, so when I say cardinal, I'm talking about the initiating signs. I'm a triple cardinal. I'm a Libra with an Aries moon and a Capricorn rising. So you've got 4 signs that are cardinal signs. That would be Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer. Okay, so the cardinal signs are like starting points. Those are the signs that also kick off new seasons. So first day of Aries is first day of spring. First day of summer is first day of Cancer. First day of fall is first day of Libra. First day of winter is first day of Capricorn. These signs kick up new energy, but the first sign of the zodiac is Aries. The first sign of the zodiac is Aries. And because the first sign of the zodiac is Aries, we are at a cardinal reset. Okay, so this means like you're at the 0 point of creation, that little divine spark in the darkness that just like kicks something off and sparks it. That is where we are going to be. So humanitarian efforts are really important to Aquarians, but Aquarius also leads up advances in technology, advances in medicine, advances in humanitarian efforts. Like I said, thinking outside of the box, doing things that are off the beaten path. This is a sign that cares for independence and uniqueness. There is an eccentricity to Aquarians as well, because they kind of don't care what people think about them. They're kind of like, whatever, you don't like me, whatever, you don't like what I'm doing, whatever, you don't like the way I dress, whatever, you know. My youngest is an Aquarius rising, and it's just funny to watch her because she has such an eclectic style and she does not care what anybody thinks. Like, she does not care. And it's amazing because she's probably one of the only people I know that like can just be so authentically herself, and people will be kind of looking at her like, that's kind of weird. And she's like, she doesn't care at all. She loves it. It's an amazing quality of hers. So I feel like this is going to be a massive personal and collective rebrand. So for those of you who are business owners and entrepreneurs, know that there is like something happening right now within your businesses or your business that is going to support a rebrand, okay? And if you're not a business owner or an entrepreneur, well, that is okay, because this is going to be more of a personal rebrand. Like, you just feel like maybe hanging out with different people, you feel like doing different things, you don't feel like being in the same energetic wavelength that you have been in, especially over the past year and especially over the past couple of months. This is truly a tides turning situation, okay? So everything is changing directions. Old systems are dying. Remember that Pluto energy where everything just kind of like crumbles and deconstructs, because it's kind of like a tower card moment where it's like, okay, this isn't working anymore. You know, you can only build the tower so high before things start crumbling apart. And you've got to like take it apart and be able to look at what's good and what is no longer working, and then reconstruct your tower with all of the good solid materials and get rid of the materials that have been cracked and worn down and weathered, and you don't trust them to support the structure that you're building. So it's like, why would I put this in my tower? All of these bricks are all cracked and chipped and they look like shit, and I'm not putting that in my tower alongside all of these other really beautiful new bricks that I have, right? So that's one part of it. You are going to encounter a lot more momentum and there's going to be sparks of like, I've got to go, I've got to go, I've got to do this, I've got to try this, you know? And so understand, like I said, with the tower, with the building blocks, you're going to be offered so many more building blocks this year. Like all of a sudden it's like opportunity. Something's just going to land in your lap. There's going to be an invitation. You have the opportunity to receive something or multiple things that you would have never imagined, especially going through what you went through last year. It was like, everything's just kind of falling apart. Things are just slipping through my fingers. Why can't something just land in the way that I want it to? I called last year the year of like the plot twists. It was like you would start moving in one direction and it's like, ooh, plot twist. You start moving in another direction, ooh, plot twist, you know? So lots of pivots and lots of feeling like things are out of your control. This year is not going to be like that at all. I mean, it's not like you have 100% control. You never have 100% control. But I think the difference between last year and this year is the fact that you're not going to feel like you need all of the control. Like, I think there's going to be a new element of trust that starts to take shape based on the fact that so many different things have shifted within your identity over the past year. When you have all of these kinds of shifts that are happening for you, how could you possibly see yourself and everything else in your life exactly the same, right? Like that's not going to happen. So all of these new opportunities are going to start landing, but here's the deal. You need to be open. If you are still living in the old energy of 2025, especially like the December, January energy that we just went through, and you're kind of like harboring all of that, that's only going to block you from receiving what the universe wants to deliver to you. Because understand, there are laws to this universe, and it has nothing to do with how good you've been, okay? It doesn't matter if it was like, well, I listened and I said all my prayers and I was such a good girl and I should now get all of the things that I want because I was so good. No, it doesn't work like that. Everything in this world, everything in this great, big, ginormous, ever-evolving, hello, my sister, I miss you so much. Everything that is in this beautiful, evolving universe is vibrational. And it is a mirror situation. So whatever you are putting out into the world, you are going to get back. Okay. I know law of attraction, all sorts of things like that have been very hyped up over the past, couple of decades. But the truth is that law of attraction is a very real thing. Okay. Law of correspondence, the as above and so below, law of rhythm, law of polarity, law of gender. Like these are all Hermetic philosophies. And I invite you to learn more about them, because this is actually, if you align with the concepts of the Hermetic philosophies and universal laws, you will understand the natural flow and rhythm of energy, of vibration, of frequency. And then you can start living your life in accordance to that frequency and have it mirrored back to you. So if I wake up every day and I can see myself as like, this is going to be a beautiful day. I am so grateful. I have my coffee. I have a home. I have running water. I have food in my fridge. I have healthy children. All of these different things, really being able to see and witness and be present with the beauty, the magic, and the miracle that really is your life, and really appreciating that and being where you are, how far you've come, what you've learned, how you've grown, what you've healed, how you've transcended. Like really, 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 I embrace this so deeply. That energy gets mirrored back to you in terms of connection and receivership and activation and deeper healing, and it just goes on and on and on. So I can't stress it enough how important it is. But you are materializing an entirely new reality right now, and your reality will absolutely be based on your thoughts. Not to mention, like I said, Aquarius is a very intellectual sign. So you want to be very clear on what it is that's happening in your mind, so that if there's some little not so good things in there right now, if there's like a trepidation, a fear, a holding back, a hesitation, I want you to get really, really, really clear on what is happening. Like, listen, ask yourself, like, clear your head, take a couple of deep breaths and ask, okay, what am I afraid of is holding me back right now? And I'm telling you, if you really give yourself an opportunity to listen, you will hear the answer. It's kind of crazy how quickly it can come for you. Okay, so loops of social inequality, we're going to be stomping those out, because this is a massive issue in our world right now. All of these social inequalities based on things that, like, we're all human. We all want the same things. We all have the same desires. And we all need the same things. So to be looking at each other as, you know, right, wrong, indifferent, you know, we've really got to clear those things up and like I said, step into that unity consciousness, which is the age of Aquarius. Like, that's age of Aquarius is about the advancement of humanity's consciousness and developing such a strong unity of each other to co-create a beautiful conscious world that is based on limitless possibilities, instead of creating restrictions and trying to control and push back and all of these limitations and self-limitations. Like, wherever these limitations come from, know that within yourself, you actually have the ability to transcend it. But when you look at everything that's happening outside of you and you're trying to respond to it, that's actually not the way to do it. You will be very disappointed. If you can actually get very good at going within yourself, with your breath, with just tuning into the internal climate and loving it, embracing it, accepting it, listening to it, being there for it, connecting with it. Like, there is something else that will take shape for you. And when you start to hear all of the buzzing and the noise and the static and the chaos of the world that is kind of recalibrating on the outside of you, you will be standing strong in the storm. You know what I mean? Like, you will be the buoy in the weird chaotic waters. You will be firm and grounded and secure in yourself, and nothing can shake you from that place. Okay, so that's where you need to go. You've got to learn about your own thoughts. You've got to learn, like, what am I really saying when I'm saying these things? You have to ask yourself, what am I really saying? What is my intention with these words? What is my intention by reading this post? What is my intention if I am, you know, on this platform? What is my intention if I'm spouting something out to somebody else? Like, we have got to be so much more self-aware, instead of just being like, well, I'm right, you're wrong, and, you know, that's it. There is so much more context to this world, to the people that live upon this planet, and it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. I think it's more important about, like, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are in terms of, like, you putting a billboard out there to the world of, like, this is who I am and this is what I stand for. I think it's more important for you to actually be very clear on who you are, what you stand for, and be completely comfortable in your own body with that, rather than needing any validation from anybody else, because that really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, not in the long run. Okay. Marching to the beat of your own drummer. This is very much Aquarius energy. Like, this is why I'm saying, like, you got to get in line with your own thoughts. This is why you have to be able to understand your own mind, understand your feelings, understand your direction, understand your intentions behind everything that you're doing, everything that you're saying, because it has an impact. Words carry power. Words are spells. Okay? So every time you're saying something, whether it's you saying, like, oh, I'm so stupid for thinking this, that's a spell. Every time you think something negative about somebody else, or you voice it voice it out loud, that's a spell. So be very, 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 very cautious of what you say, how you say it, and what you mean by it. Like, there's a lot of people that just spout things out. I don't even think they realize what they're saying. It's actually very sad. So I think, like, one thing that you can do for yourself is march to the beat of your own drummer. But in order to do that, doesn't mean that, like, well, I don't like what they're doing, so I'm going to go this way. Why are you going that way? Why are you going this way? Why do you feel the way that you feel? Why are you being pulled in a new direction? What does it mean for you? How does it feel in your body? Where do you feel it in your body? What do you want to do about it? How are you advocating for yourself? Okay? There is a much bigger picture, and it's going to be playing out over the next 6 months. Okay? So we do have a couple of aspects in this particular eclipse, and none of us will see the eclipse. Unfortunately, we will have an eclipse next year in 2027 that I think is going to be visible more in our hemisphere. But for this particular solar eclipse, this is actually going to be visible in the lower part of the southern hemisphere. So Antarctica, lower parts of South America, lower parts, I believe, of Australia and definitely of South Africa. So nobody up here is going to see that eclipse at all, but you will feel it for sure. So I want to go over just a couple of the aspects that are going to be really important, because we know that like the sun and the moon are going to be conjunct to one another exactly. Like they are exactly in this beautiful tight conjunction. They're pulling the energy and holding it together and amplifying it. So that's why we are also seeing this as a ring of fire kind of thing, because as like the moon passes over the sun, that fire on the outside of the moon, you know, that is what is typically visible. Okay, so let's get into some of the aspects here so that you can see how this eclipse is being supported and reinforced with some of the other astrological alignments, because that's really important. It's like I can talk about all of these new beginnings and how to think and what to do and all of that, but the truth is that you have other things that are also supporting it. So I want to help you get clear on that so you can start to when you start to see these alignments take shape, you can kind of have this idea of, oh, okay, that's what she was talking about. This is what I need to do. Okay. So the sun and the moon do have a very sharp square aspect to Uranus. What's interesting about that, so a square aspect is a 90-degree angle between, you know, these two different astrological bodies. It creates this kind of like challenge, like this kind of friction between the astrological bodies. It's not a perfectly flowing, cooperating energy. And so the sun and the moon, as they're in conjunction to each other, they're going to be in a tight square to Uranus. The interesting thing about Uranus is that it just went direct, which is lovely. We love it when planets go direct, but Uranus rules Aquarius. That's right. So Uranus energy is very much Aquarius energy. Rebellious, eccentric, independent, wanting to break the rules, wanting to break down old systems. And so when you have that square aspect to this particular eclipse, it is going to possibly create some friction in your life, because maybe some of the things that are shifting and transmuting and, you know, realigning for you, maybe some of those things are a little tougher. And so with this square aspect, it wants you to be able to get a really clear lens on where that tension and frustration lie, so that you can see what the source is and eliminate it. You can walk away from it. You can say, okay, I can see what the problem is here, and I can see how this has been holding me back. So now I can clearly understand like how I have to shift that, how I have to change that, and how I'm going to move in a different direction, making new decisions and choices for myself. And doing so unapologetically, okay? Because the thing is that part of this independence and this innovation and this newness that's coming in also means that you're not here to be pleasing to people. You're not here to make sure that everybody is approving of your choices and celebrating all of your decisions and giving you permission to go ahead and try that new thing. Like, this is up to you. You've got to own it. You've got to hold it. You've got to feel. That's why I also said, like, understand what your intentions are. Really get in alignment with your thoughts, because as this new stuff is taking shape for you, you're going to be faced with making some very, very strong decisions, and you want to have clarity. Why I'm doing it? What is the reason? What am I hoping for? What is going to happen? Like, obviously we don't know all the things that are going to happen, but you can map certain things out in your life, right? Cause and effect, which is another law of the universe. Like, to every cause, there is an effect. So that discernment comes in really, really handy during this entire transit. And discernment is just good anyway, right? Okay, there is a Venus conjunct North Node. So Venus is actually in Pisces, and it will have a very, 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 very tight conjunction with the North Node. Now, North Node in Pisces is like saying, this is my direction. This is the direction that my life is going in. This is the direction that my life is taking. And when Venus is in conjunction with that, what I think is really going to happen with this is Venus wants pleasure. She wants refinement. She wants beauty, love, romance, passion, but she also likes money. Like, Venus is a planet that rules both Libra and Taurus. but in different ways. So Venus wants stability through her finances, and she also wants to live a beautiful life, and she is realizing that this is actually the new direction that she's wanting to take, is that it's not anymore about cleaning up the messes. It's not so much about preparing for the dumpster fires to put out like we did most of 2025. It's actually like, let me experience what's possible in the blissful reality that I have the potential to create for myself. Who doesn't love that, right? Like, I get to create this reality. I get to manifest all of this beauty, all of this magic, and I can feel how my life is taking on this new direction with all of it, but it is on such a beautiful soul level. Like, it's not whimsical. It's not circumstantial. It's not superficial. It is very deep soul destiny kind of shit. So it's pulling you towards your destiny. It's pulling you towards the next level. But in order for you to really actualize it, materialize it the way that you really desire to, there's going to have to be some like blissful energy there, meaning like self-care, self-love. Buy yourself something really nice. Take yourself out to lunch. Do something to really anchor in the energy of, I am ready for this, because I think we're all ready for this. And now you just like have to acknowledge it in some way, right? It's not just like sitting here and being like, oh yes, Renee said that Venus is conjunct the North Node and life is going this way. I want you to do something that actually anchors in this experience for you, okay? So if that means like getting your hair done, getting your nails done, taking a bubble bath, like it doesn't have to cost much for you to do something nice for yourself, you know? Just set a boundary. Say, you know, I'm gonna be binge watching this Netflix series for the next couple of hours, and I would really like to do it by myself, you know? There's nothing wrong with doing that, and there's nothing wrong with wanting something for yourself, okay? So there's going to be a lot of favorable upgrades, especially with money, refinement to relationship, new meetings, like just meeting new people and finding a path that feels really, really, really sexy and beautiful for you, okay? So the next one, and we only have a couple more, so Mercury trine Jupiter. So this is really fun because this is going to be a massive expansion of how you think, how you communicate, and how you're able to share your vision. Like, especially when you look at this Venus conjunct North Node in Pisces, to me, it's like there's definitely a vision that wants to be embodied here. You know, it's like if you're daydreaming and you're kind of like in the blissful energy of, oh, I wonder if, and I would love for this to happen, and I'm just so open to receiving this. And, you know, it's allowing yourself to kind of drift off into kind of like a fantasy and allow yourself to play and be creative, because we as humans are here to actually be very creative. Our purpose is not to just keep working and working and working and working and working and then finally catching a breath for like 48 hours on the weekend and then going back to that schedule again. That is not what we're designed to do. It is the pattern that most humans have fallen into because it's what we've been raised to think, like, this is what we have to do. But honestly, you're a creator. And there's a lot of creativity to be experienced. And I feel like that's the way that the energy of the solar eclipse wants to be embraced, is like, of course, yes, you can journal, you can meditate, you can go for a nature walk, all of the same things that everybody recommends for a friggin' new moon or an eclipse or whatever. But to me, this actually means more about fantasy, like fun stuff. Like, get creative and have fun with yourself, or have fun with someone else or other people. But it feels like there is a shift in dynamics in relationships that's happening here. And it shouldn't just be this rudimentary, like, you know, business relationship. Yes, okay, we both agree, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is more about pleasure and fantasy and creativity and stuff like that. There is a loose sextile between the sun and the moon in Chiron, and that's pretty much the last one that I'm going to talk about, because I did see some other aspects, but honestly, like, I don't like to talk about aspects that are more than 5 degrees apart. You know, like, that's not an aspect to me. It's loose. It's too far. We really like aspects that are going to be obviously like 0 degrees to like 5 degrees. And that's what this one is. So there is a sextile between the sun and the moon and Chiron. Chiron is in the upper degrees of Aries right now. It's going to go into Taurus in a couple of months. And so I really feel like something that's available during this eclipse is healing the deep wounds with how you see yourself. Okay, this is going to be a massive shift of identity. I think it's going to allow for that sacred feminine energy to come in really strongly, especially with this Venus North Node aspect. And what I keep hearing over and over again is like, this is the age of the priestess. Priestesses have like, don't even really exist anymore, especially because we live in this like, this European colonial puritanical society that was designed by a lot of men that thought they had a really good idea about what, you know, what civilization needed and what women needed to be taught and how we needed to be, you know, quieted and, you know, you just sit there and look pretty kind of thing. But if you look to ancient times, in all areas of the world, there were priestesses. And these priestesses were the emissaries of divinity, of femininity, of the goddess. And we've got to bring things back into balance. So I'm not saying that for all of you who have a patriarchal God, which if you're even on this right now at this point, like I'm guessing you might not have completely like a patriarchal God, but understand that no matter what, there needs to be a balance. Because I've never known a man to go and just like have a baby, right? Like men don't just like have babies, right? And women don't just like have babies, although they could. So there needs to be like a freaking balance here. And so it was interesting. I looked up the definition of priestess on my phone, like I Googled it. And the Oxford Dictionary said that the definition of priestess is, what did it say? It was like a non-Christian, like anything that is related to Christianity, there can be no feminine representation of leadership. I have a huge problem with that. And so I really feel like a lot of what's being ushered in right now is a new age, obviously, a new paradigm shift. A new world system is being developed, but I also feel like this is when the feminine emissaries of divinity are able to come back into their power to support the world, because priestesses are here as channels of love, wisdom, and grace and healing. And we are portals of transformation. And so much of that has been completely destroyed. It has been buried in the sands of time. And it is time for us who are dedicated and soulful and joyful and really feel the spirit, like we feel that great spirit, whatever you call it. You call it God, you call it creator, you call it divine source, whatever it is, but the all, there is the all, and everything is connected to it, and we are connected to it, but it lives within you. It is not something that you have to go outside of yourself to find. And for so long, they wanted you to have to go outside of yourself to find something that didn't exist within you, and told you you were bad, and told you that you had to chase this impossible endeavor that you will always fall short of, and you will never actually reach that. And because you are not good enough, you will suffer and you will sin, and it will be a terrible situation for your soul. And I don't believe any of that. I don't believe any of it. I believe that Jesus came here to speak on the possibilities of what exists within your consciousness when you actually get to know who you are. When you discover the truth of your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit, and how they come into unison together within this vessel. And it lives within you. God lives within you. Everything that you have ever needed, ever wondered, ever wanted, ever needed, like anything desired, everything starts in here. And you've got to go in here to find it first, okay? And so, like, this is that age of we're bringing in this new element of humanity. It's not like all these new people are just going to show up on the planet. I don't think anyway. It could happen, you know? But like all of us who have been, you know, we recognize that we're starseeds. We recognize that we're here for a greater purpose, a greater mission. We feel the call to support healing. We feel the call to elevate humanity. We feel the call to love each other and to share and to uplift and to refine and to dismantle the old stories of these old paradigms of chasing an impossible dream and suffocating our souls by doing it. This is over. This is done. But you've got to claim this for yourself first. I've already claimed this for myself. I've claimed this very, 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 very intentionally for myself. And now I feel like it's time for everybody who desires it and who feels it in their bones to declare it for themselves, okay? Because everything that happened over 2025 and then a little bit coming into 2026 has been a dismantling of the older version of who you've been. The pain, the wounds, when you looked in the mirror and you saw that little person that was left behind, abandoned, neglected, couldn't trust, couldn't go, couldn't have, couldn't do, all of those things. Love her, love him, give them the grace and the just deep care that they so desire. Nourish them with all of your heart, like really, really, really nourish them, and know that this is only the beginning, okay? Like this is just the beginning, all right? We're gonna have some fucking fun. So I really hope that this is very helpful for you. I hope that this speaks to your soul, because again, like all of these old things are breaking down and opening up for a new door, a new time, a new era, a new age. And you have to ask yourself, what am I ready for? What am I ready to step into? Because we also talk about like nervous system calibration. Like what happens if I really want all of these incredible things, but at the same time, I've never had it before. I don't know what it's like to hold it. I don't know if I can stretch myself to hold it. This is where we get to actually like ask ourselves, what can I hold and what can I stretch into? And when we have that really, really, really deep core relationship with our inner self, our soul, our spirit, our heart, our mind, like the answers come so much faster and so much more clearly, so that you might think to yourself, but I have to have it now. And all of a sudden you realize, no, I don't have to have it now, because I actually know that it's coming. I think a lot of times when we think to ourselves, I have to have it now, is because there's a part of us that doesn't trust what's around the corner. And we're not sure. Is it possible? Is it coming? Is it coming? And this is the sign. Yes, it is. But I want you to own it. I want you to hold it. I want you to believe in it. I really, like with all of my heart and soul, am inviting you into believing in things that you have struggled to believe in before, because you felt it was out of reach and you felt like it was impossible and you felt like it just couldn't happen for you. Change that dialogue now, okay? Because on the 17th, Fire Horse is running out of the stable. And the new moon energy, the solar eclipse energy is going to throttle you into a whole new alignment that's going to put you on a new path in a different direction. And it's going to change everything, okay? So your faith, your trust, your belief, your love, your inner guidance, your inner compass, your inner wisdom, the grace, the love, the care, like allow the feminine energy to be so much more present than it ever has been before. And I think that's actually going to make this entire transition so much more doable and so much easier if you allow the flow. Okay, so I am actually going to be doing, I'm going to do another video on the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune, because that's actually, that's a really big one too, guys. Like I already wrote up a bunch on that too. And so that is going to be on the 26th. Okay, we go into a conjunction. So I started a YouTube channel. For those of you who have not seen my YouTube or didn't even know I had a YouTube channel, like it has been a slow start, because I'm going to be putting videos up there. I'm going to be recording new things, like new trainings. I'm going to be sharing some of the older stuff that I've already done before, just because it's easy to put it up there. But I have to say that like I am moving a little bit more away from this particular platform. I'm just really not as much in alignment with it as I used to be. And I think that it's been such a support, you know, especially starting my business 5.5 years ago or so. This was a great platform to be on. I just don't feel the same way in where I'm heading in my life and my work and what I stand for. And so you can absolutely find me on YouTube, and I will actually share the link in the comments for those of you who are not clear on where you can find me there. And then I'm going to France in October. I'm so excited. I have been manifesting this trip for years. For those of you who know me, you know I am a devotee of Mary Magdalene. And so we are going to, I'm going to Provence in October to visit the Mary Magdalene caves and to do like a full week retreat there. And we're going to be going to other places as well. It's going to be a really beautiful, fantastic trip for anybody who is curious about this. We are still in early bird pricing until February 20th, and then that will be over. So if anybody is curious about that or is interested in joining me, we have spots for about 6 to 8 women. We are going to be staying in a villa that was built in the 1300s. Like the things that are happening in this trip that I have been dreaming of since I was probably like 15 years old, things are coming together. You know, this is what I'm saying. So I just thank you for being here. You know, if you're here on the replay, just say hi and let me know that you're here. Other than that, I really wish you a very joyful rest of your week. And plan to have an incredible solar eclipse. All right. Mwah. I love you all so much. Bye for now.